Micah Parsons is heading to Green Bay, Wisconsin to be the next great edge rusher, the best edge rusher that the Green Bay Packers have had since Reggie White, the ultimate Hall of Fame player. Now, this is the type of move that a lot of Packers fans have been waiting for because this has been a very good Green Bay team. Been to 2 straight NFC championships with Aaron Rodgers at the helm, came up short against San Francisco, couldn't stop the run. Against Tampa Bay, it seemed like they needed to get to Brady, were not able to get that done. Against Brock Purdy, divisional round 2 years ago, fell short. And then against the Eagles, it just felt like they weren't in the same punching class as that Philadelphia team. If this were a boxing fight, it would have looked like a heavyweight fighting against a middleweight. But now Micah Parsons, the Packers believe, will be the type of player that can get them into the weight class of the best teams in the NFC. Well, look across your own division. The Detroit Lions have a very good offensive line, immediately replenishing the loss of their center Frank Ragnow retiring. They draft Tate Ratledge. The Chicago Bears go out and get all of these players on the interior, Drew Dahlman, Joe Tooney, Jonah Jackson, to try and transform their offensive line in one offseason. And then Minnesota, they get the 2 players from Indy in O'Neal and Kelly, and then they draft Donovan Jackson from the Ohio State Buckeyes. Green Bay, what's really crazy about this whole thing and what has a lot of NFC North fans a bit concerned, as well as the rest of the conference, is Lucas Van Ness was supposed to make this development year, to make that next jump. That Rashawn Gary has already been a quality premier pass rusher for the Packers. They do lose Kenny Clark. He was their best run defender on defense and had been winning the hearts of a number of Packer fans, a tremendous career there in Green Bay. They still have, though, Devontae Wyatt, a very good defensive line that already got better. You have to remember, the Packers were a top 10 defense last year, opportunistic top 10 in takeaways, points allowed. They were tremendous, got off the field on 3rd down when they needed to. For all intents and purposes, they were a team that was very good, but just could not beat the best team. Swept by the 14-3 Vikings, swept by the 15-2 Lions, and of course, they end up losing to Chicago at the end of the year. But Jordan Love got a bit dinged up in that game. The loss to Philadelphia, first game of the year, Love hurt at the end of it, but that was a tight battle. Played them straight up there. But then in the playoff game, it just felt like the Packers just didn't have any momentum, that they really fizzled towards the end of the season. So now that is the opposite. They go into this 2025 season with an immediate week 1 game at home against the Detroit Lions. A great chance for Micah to show them just how effective a new impact player can be. What does this trade remind us of? There was a team coming off the 2017 season that had a pretty good defense, but could not do anything offensively. They were looking for a player to transform their franchise, get him back to relevance. That was the Packers' arch rivals. Not so much arch anymore. It's been a very dominated series, but the Chicago Bears traded for Khalil Mack right before the start of the 2018 season. Very similar to this. Kind of reminds you of that. The impact was immediate. That first half he had still goes into Bears lore, even if they lost that game eventually in that crazy comeback by Rodgers. The Bears end up winning that division after they finished 5-11 in first place, and really intents and purposes could have been a team to win the Super Bowl that year. The team that was in the Super Bowl, the Rams, they beat, and against the Patriots, they had a double-digit lead in the in that game against them. So that Chicago team immediately transformed with Mack. Even on a bit of a older, aging roster, they still made the playoffs 2 years later. What can the Packers do? This is to say, made 2 straight NFC Championship games a couple of years ago. 2 years ago, should have beat the Niners, the team that should have beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Last year, we've talked about a lot, but against the Eagles, that was their chance to really knock off a team, to pull off that upset win 2 years ago, that huge win against the Dallas Cowboys nobody was expecting. Just think of what the Packers can be, bringing in one of the best defensive players in the NFL, a guy that gets double-digit sacks when he rolls out of bed without even needing to play a full NFL season. Micah Parsons, my goodness. The only knock against Micah, though, is his run-stuffing ability and the off-the-field stuff. Now, Green Bay is not going to be the place that Dallas was, but also it makes you a tad concerned if you're on the Green Bay side of things. I'm not on the Green Bay side of things, but without that overarching figure, right? That Jerry Jones guy to be able to say, this is going to be the way it is. Obviously, that didn't have an effect on Micah Parsons. He still has his podcast, his show, goes about his business the way that he's going to want to, and now getting paid more than any other player has on the defensive side of the ball has in history. We can imagine that this will be a very talented Micah, a motivated Micah, and hopefully that is the case if you are a Green Bay Packer fan. Now, they do utilize that cap space. They had $25 million available, almost the most in football. 22 of that is going to be used against the cap. Still don't have the full details of how this contract will be broken down, obviously, because the news is so recent. So we'll assume that they're going to be backloading this thing, probably paying Micah close to $30 million next year, and then that thing going up as we go. They lose the 2 first-round picks, but if you're the Packers, it's like, we're not expecting to be picking top 10, as if those picks are going to be such a big deal. With Micah, we're expecting to be competing for the NFC North title, home playoff games, and eventually a Super Bowl trophy, because, hey, a couple years ago, we were so close back-to-back seasons. Why can't we get back to where we were? And certainly, Jordan Love continues to develop. He has more experience as a starter. He's played in 3 playoff games now. Matt LaFleur has become a top 5 coach in the National Football League. His offense is known everywhere. The defense is ready to go back and have another tremendous season. With Micah now, you would expect them to be even better than what they were, which was still a very good defense. Now, the outlook, when people have their opinions of these types of trades, they want to be so clickbaity. The Packers already won this thing immediately. The Cowboys, they won it. They got the 2 first-rounders. Jerry Jones, what is the guy doing? He's 82 years old, and he's given up all of this future capital? Like, what does the guy think? He's got 50 more years to live? Like, what is Jerry doing? It needs to happen now. We're not going to know. It seems immediately, and this is the only data point really in the recent memory, was the Khalil Mack trade, that the Bears won it within 30 minutes of him being on the field. He had a strip sack recovery. He had a touchdown in that game. It was pretty obvious. Bears do all that damage that first year, but we look back on it, they didn't win a playoff game. So when this thing is all said and done, what are the Packers compared to what they have been the last 2 years? That will be the benchmark of what we're comparing it to. I'm saying that Green Bay is a team every single year that is competing. Like, they should be winning every other NFC North title and getting to about third, NFC Championship game, and having that chance to get back to the Super Bowl, maybe a little bit more often than that with the roster that they now have. They got Matthew Golden. Remember this kid out of Texas? People were saying, that is the last piece. Matthew Golden will be it. Well, what about adding Micah Parsons into the mix, into the fold on the other side of the ball? So Matthew Golden, Josh Jacobs. That's what's sort of funny, is that the Bears trade to get Khalil Mack. The Raiders end up taking Josh Jacobs in the 2019 NFL draft. So technically, they have Josh Jacobs because the Bears made that trade. It could have happened another way. Butterfly flaps its wings, but then also Micah Parsons. They got one of the best backs in football and one of the best defensive players. Now, to wrap up, for fans of other teams in the NFC, they need to find a solution for Micah, because this is the same exact guy he was with Dallas, but we might even see another level. We've kind of been expecting, like, when is Micah Parsons going to have that Defensive Player of the Year type impact? NFC East people like Jaden Daniels, such as whoever the quarterback comes out of New York for the future. Certainly Jalen Hurts are excited about this. It's just interesting because all of them are going to be playing Micah once again. We get to see a showdown on Sunday Night Football. Packers do play the Cowboys on Sunday night this year. It's like the NFL has this whole thing. Like, they just know all the storylines. We know the Packers are going to be playing the Steelers. Like, we're just going to put that matchup aside for Sunday Night Football. Rodgers versus Love. Cowboys versus Packers on Sunday night. All of the storylines that you could ever want or hope to have. We're just so excited for football to be back. Usually this is big news in like June happening. It's really, it's just kind of startling how similar this all matches up to that Khalil Mack trade in 2018. And that's why I keep harping and bringing that up. Can he have that same impact? Remember, Detroit, all these people having these very positive things to say. We understand it, but you lose your offensive coordinator in Ben Johnson. Don't underestimate the impact of losing those two guys in what Ben Johnson's scheme was for Jared Goff, turning him from a pretty decent guy, player that had been to the Super Bowl, that had been very good, but turned him into a tremendous talent, just the guy that just doesn't miss, a 30-plus touchdown, 4,500-yard type of season guy now for him. So let's not at all look over the fact that Detroit will not be, I don't think, what they have been in the past, and a lot of those maturities of those contracts coming due. But Green Bay, Super Bowl window is wide open now. You have the term of it before this Micah contract starts really adding up, before you see Jordan Love's contract really piling on. This is the opportunity for the next 3 years. I'm going to set it. 3 years, Super Bowl window is fully open. Can the Packers do it and get to the big game and get it done? We are going to have to watch and find out. So excited. Football is back. Please subscribe for more content in the future. Would love to have you join this community. We are building this entire thing out. Live streams, game reactions. And so really hope to have you back for a lot more of that in the future. So please come back for more, and I will see you next time.
Best player in college football.
That Georgia and Ohio State game, New Year's Eve, is going to be a classic.
Josh Blunder. Hi, everybody. I'm Josh Blunder.
To the 40, 35, 30, Espinosa to the 20.